Hello horror hounds, welcome to my horror house. I have just heard the very sad news of the passing of David Warner, and I'm here home alone, working from home, and just wanted to take a couple of minutes out of my day to just note his passing and the phenomenal career of the man. He's always been one of my absolute personal favourites. Back when I was getting into horror, and I watched the Universal movies and the Hammer movies, the first really sort of forbidden movie that I saw, one that I knew where I was sort of transgressing, I was definitely too young to watch it, was The Omen. And I think there in microcosm you've got the class of David Warner. You've got the most outlandish, outrageous premise that occasionally these British sort of classically trained stage actors are parachuted into projects like this to class up the joints, to give a little bit of gravitas, which is not to say that the American cast in that film weren't excellent as well. I happen to adore The Omen, but Jennings, David Warner's portrayal of Jennings, really sells it. He is really the engine that gets the ambassador on board with the notion that his son is the Antichrist. And he truly is one of the greats. I mean, if you want to... I don't think it's beyond the pale to suggest that if you want to put him with his peers, status-wise, you are going to have to reach slightly back to the likes of Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. You are going to have to talk about him in the same breath as you talk about these other classy, classical actors who did most of their work within genre film and genre TV, did not look down their nose at it, and just brought a level of just class and skill to everything he's done. The man's CV is astonishing. David Warner will be in one of your favourite movies. That's almost beyond question. I mean, good Lord, I'm looking at his IMDb page now, and just aside from the horror, I was so lucky to see him a few years ago at HorrorCon, and he did a Q&A and a sort of speech, and he said that he never really considered himself, he acknowledged that he was here at a horror convention, but never really considered himself a horror actor. He'd done some horror films, but he'd done lots of others. I'm just an actor, I'm a jobbing actor. And you can understand why the genres, horror, sci-fi, whatever, sort of embrace him. But beyond horror, Star Trek, man. he's in a couple of Star Trek movies. He's in 5 and 6. He's in Tron, guys. Mary Poppins Returns, Titanic. Lots of TV. He was in, of course, Penny Dreadful. He was in a brief cameo in Penny Dreadful, and we heard his voice. He was Van Helsing, of course. And you heard his voice before you saw him, and I didn't realise that cameo was coming up, and I heard the voice and I was like, that's David Warner. I mean, I was lucky enough to meet him at HorrorCon and got him to, I chatted for a very brief period with him, 2-3 minutes, got his autograph. It had to be The Omen 10 by 8, but he had so many there on his table that I could choose from. But I told him at the time, he's one of the few people whose voice I coveted. If a genie gave me 3 wishes, one of my wishes would be to speak like David Warner. And yes, so I recognised him in his brief cameo in Penny Dreadful from his voice alone, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. He's in The Secret of Crickley Hall, which is a TV adaptation of the James Herbert novel, so I'll be getting to that eventually in my James Herbert read through. Though that's something to look forward to. Yeah, he was in Doctor Who. Of course, he was in Doctor Who. When I told him how much I liked his voice, he told me about he plays the Doctor in the Big Finish, some of the Big Finish audio adventures, which is perfect casting. There's sort of like an alternate casting universe where he plays the Doctor. I know it's sort of common folklore that he was originally cast as Freddy Krueger. Now, I'm glad we got Robert Englund, but what would David Warner have done with that? He's in the League of Gentlemen's Apocalypse as Dr. P. He is one of the best things in that. Oh, he's in The Time Bandits, one of my favourite portrayals of the devil of all. I mean, it's going to take ages to scroll through this. He's in a Planet of the Apes movie. Lots of game voiceovers. Oh, he's Ra's al Ghul in the Superman animated series. Did not know that. What else do I love him in? Waxwork, of course, from Beyond the Grave. He said in that Q&A that he's always asked about working with Peter Cushing, and he said I only did like one scene with him. I was only with him for like a day, 2 days. I don't really have a Peter Cushing story to tell you. I'm just going to scroll through his database now. This is not great viewing, but the man's CV. He's in the Mouth of Madness. The man's CV is extraordinary. He was one of those presences. He's in Star Trek: The Next Generation as well. Oh, of course he is. He's the. Oh my God, yes. He's the Cardassian that tortures Picard. There are 4 lights, or. Bloody hell, one of the best episodes of Star Trek TNG there are. So what, he's played a Klingon, a Cardassian, he's played a human. There's probably more. He's probably been in more Star Trek than that. There's Waxwork. And there's The Omen. Straw Dogs before that. Of course, Straw Dogs. My God, who hasn't this man worked with? So it's very sad news. It's very sad news of his passing. We've lost a true legend of the genre. Someone who never looked down their nose at the genre material that they worked with. Always elevated that material. In that regard, he's a true equal to Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, the greats we admire. I wonder whether I hope the horror community remember him as fondly, but I understand that he's done so much elsewhere. I mean, the Star Trek community, of which I'm a Trekkie, absolutely love Star Trek. We'll be mourning the loss. It's very sad, but those films that we've got, what a gift! What an absolute gift! I don't really know how to end this. But I guess I will say thank you to David Warner for all the performances, the portrayals, all the characters. I'm going through them in my head. It's like a Rolodex. There's so many. He was always good in everything he did, and he always made everything he was in better just by stint of being in it. He's phenomenal in Waxwork, and how many people have seen Waxwork? Hardly anyone. But he's just glorious in it. Oh, well, I hope you are all doing fine. This is going to be a bit of a rambly ending, so it might make sense for me to just wrap it up, and I'll give some thought as to which David Warner movies to watch this evening, and I'm spoilt for choice. It's an embarrassment of riches, the films that I could choose to watch to just mark his passing. What a career.